Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dota 2 Asia Championships coverage powered by the Score Esports. I'm LD, joined here by the panel. Gentlemen, it's time for IG versus LGD. Big showdown, two iconic Chinese organizations. Both have looked a bit shaky so far in the tournament, though. They had up and down group stages. I came into the tournament personally feeling like LGD was looking good. David, I know you were feeling like IG could make a bit of a run here. Winter, you've been supporting IG and saying that you think a team with Tron will never lose 3 games in a row because he won't allow it. So they're due for a win, according to you. Do you still believe that?
Yeah, I definitely do. Like, he's a player that will make sure that after every loss, he gives you a piece of his mind. He makes sure that the same mistakes doesn't occur again, and everyone remembers that very hard.
So, are you counting the 3 losses in a row, 2 from Secret? Is this the third one that they won't lose? Because this is an important one.
It happened once before, and I said they wouldn't lose 3 rounds in a row, and they didn't.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that said, the draft is underway, so we're going to go ahead and hop into it right now. IG versus LGD. BO1. Loser. They dropped $70,000 in potential earnings, and they're eliminated from the tournament. A tough way to go out, but somebody's got to. LGD, they'll begin this draft with first overall pick.
It ain't IG versus LGD without a 80-minute game here, and hopefully Medusa will give that to us. I have high hopes for this BO1.
We're going to have SUNSfan casting this game. I know syndereN's done a few Chinese Dota games, with me at least, that have gone pretty late. I don't know if SUNSfan has had the distinct pleasure of a 3-digit game. 100-plus minutes. The dream is real.
He hasn't lived yet.
Shannon, if you're listening, caffeinate yourself immediately and handle your bathroom. But, okay, looking at the draft. Dusa first pick from LGD. There's a lot of ways that you can look to approach the Dusa. We've seen some teams just try to end games very early before she truly comes online. We've seen other teams try to pick quote-unquote counters, so heavy mana burn being the main one. Anti-mage, a decent hero against it. Necrobolt carriers like the Beastmaster. I think Quas Wex Invoker, probably viewed by most as the strongest quote-unquote counter to Medusa. Winter, IG go for Venge Void, which is not really what seems like the most standard way to try and address the Medusa.
Isn't Chronosphere really bad against Dusa?
Yeah,
you chrono, if she gets off the Stone Gaze, you ain't killing her.
You must chrono her before she get... I don't know, it's like...
And then you still have to, even if you do chrono her before she Stone Gazes, you still have to kill her.
It's difficult to get the chrono on the Medusa and she not pop her Stone Gaze, but...
I mean, we're making the assumption that the Void's being picked up for the Medusa. I feel like that's entirely not the case. IG's picking Void because they have a draft that they want to do that involves a Void here. I think that's much more the case than it's like, let's...
More of they have
Void
a
is
plan.
not picked... Void Chronosphere is not picked to counter the Medusa.
More of they have a plan instead of just they're picking Void against Medusa. And here, I think Mr. Parker would say that this is a pick that we were actually looking forward to see from LGD for a very, very long time, and they only pick it like once
They hardly
or twice.
picked in the group stage. It wasn't even getting banned out much against
It
them.
got banned first phase a decent number of times.
But then I remember like the last 4 or 5 games, it was ignored. That to me was...
Early on, it was getting banned, and towards the end of the group stage, it was being ignored in terms of bans, and LGD ignoring it in terms of picks. So now the Sniper ban coming out from LGD, something that we've seen more and more going mid, generally to counter something like a Shadow Fiend. That's been the go-to, also oftentimes with a Troll at his side, but not the case so far.
So I do want to pose a question with Medusa and Ember Spirit as your first 2 pick. The rest of your pick, do they necessarily have to play the game essentially by themselves? Because Ember could participate in some ganks early, but if it comes to a big scale fight in front of a tower, they don't really do a lot.
Yeah, I feel if IG wants to take advantage of that fact, they can go for a very 5-man orientated lineup with the Void as probably like what Mr. Parker suggested, a team fight called a position 3 call.
So like off lane?
Yeah, off lane more likely, and they pick another call which actually can fight very early and push towers. If you're IG, one of those heroes will be Lycan, and Luo plays Lycan very well. Good against Medusa because you purchase Necrobolt. So that would be one way of dealing with a team that has Ember plus Medusa.
Doesn't synergize too with the Void though, is what I worry there.
Yeah, but it's like you want to punish, like you see LGD doing the Ember after the Medusa, and you want to switch up your strats. Like you already picked the Void, so you can't do anything about it, and you try to change up your strategies in the 3rd and the 4th pick so you can actually deal with LGD's lineup better.
There's also the Troll, which has been pretty popular with the Void. When we were seeing it, Navi, the big team that was running those 2 together, also with the Venge, could be very heavy physical damage coming out from them. And it will be IG's turn to pick now.
I feel like they did want to go for that Invoker. They wanted to kind of go old school with like the safe lane or maybe even a mid Exort Invoker,
Sunstrike
your
and-
Necrobooks.
And a Tron Mirana. Okay.
Yeah.
This is very a little old with Skywrath plus Void.
This definitely feels like they wanted to go old school with the aggressive supports, the Skywrath Void, even a Sunstrike on top. Necrobook Invoker good against the Medusa. Obviously, the Invoker, though, not going to be in the picture. So if that was the plan, they need a backup. There's heroes like the Shadow Fiend still in the pool.
We have never seen a Crossvex Invoker go Necrobook. That would be fun. Just to do it to
Just
the
double it up.
Yeah?
Just to do
It's
it
a bit
against
hard
the
to
Medusa.
farm it is the main issue.
It won't work well, but it's just something that I thought of. Like
Maybe you go back for it later on.
could be fun
Just
to
for
watch.
fun.
You know. Just
We
so
did see the Midas Quasvex Invoker. That was pretty bad, to be honest.
I think the other hero IG could go if they want to run it mid is something like a Beastmaster. I feel like the Necrobooks, again, nice against Medusa. Having an initiation and lockdown tool like a Roar good against Ember and Medusa.
It would be too one-dimensional though, the draft then. It would be risky, like IG picking the Shadow Fiend, like giving Ferrari a secondary carry so that, you know, when things get rough, you still have Ferrari with a hero that can actually pull through into the late game and be a source of damage against the Medusa.
Yeah. Big AoE combo now with the Requiem plus the Void and LGD heavy physical damage. Stonegaze works really well with this Ember Sleight of Fist as well as the Death Ward, and there are quite a few ways to cancel that Death Ward this game, but if he can avoid getting caught by the Chronosphere and get off a good one, it could be really difficult for IG to fight into LGD.
You talk about the Witch Doctor dropping his ulti, but I think LGD right now, they need a defensive support against the Chronosphere.
Something like the Earthshaker.
Shadow
ideal.
Demon even. I think Shadow Demon would be good against Skyraft and the Chronosphere. Could work well with the Medusa illusions as well.
Wisp. That's defensive support and offensive at the same time.
Yeah, it's similar to the Shadow Demon's position. Very good.
Very good with Medusa as
Yeah,
well.
good with Medusa. Good against the Chronosphere, the short distance relocate we see most of the teams doing in the West that they use it against the Chronosphere. So that could be one of the way to actually bail your teammate out.
Okay, so here's a wild suggestion. You have a lot of good minus armor going on with Venge and Shadow Fiend. What about Safe Lane Slaughter as a way to like just a ton of minus armor?
Didn't we see that once or twice from C9?
Lure
once-
also likes to play.
Yeah, Lure
and
also
Big
plays
I mean,
Slaughter.
all of these heroes are paper,
Yeah.
right? Even Dusa.
He's a really good initiator if he can farm the
Yep.
Blink.
It's a Nombo with Faces Void. That's why I'm not too
actually-
sure about.
I think it's still good.
Yeah, it could be a good idea here.
I mean, Ember Spirit, notoriously low armor, can be paper versus that.
Yeah, this is the more expected ban, I suppose, with the Troll. But they'll
Okay.
go Drow Ranger. Something IG...
I mean, essentially it's the same thing. It's just a ton more damage.
They did this quite a few times in the group stage, actually, which I know when we cast a few of their games, the panel was very skeptical. They saw a Drow Morphling, didn't think much of it. IG ended up stomping that game. They did the Shadow Fiend Drow, it worked pretty well as well. And, well, they get a ton of late game here, a ton of right click.
I think IG's draft just right now looks
Yeah,
a lot stronger.
I like the
heavily
IG.
favor them.
Their
I like-
lanes are so strong.
I
as
like
well.
the draw to finish up the draft.
Yep.
You make sure that all the lanes are strong. They have a lot of damage from right clicks and
Ooh.
wow, LGD going for the Iron Shell on the Ember, something that we've
This
seen them
is
do
some
before.
If on paper LGD's draft is crazy. Vacuum into Sleight of Fist with Stonegaze there, Death Ward splashing, but
No, you vacuumed them into their chrono. Damn.
Yao
into their own chrono.
Into their own chrono.
I mean, for Vacuum Sleight of Fist to work, Yao has to farm a Battle Fury, remember?
yeah, the early game is
Okay, if
just...
there's any hero he can farm it on, Ember Spirit. This is Yao's hero,
Yeah.
man. This is his
He's
time.
gonna do well with this hero.
I-
All right, so Gods, Winter, you both heavily favor IG right now.
Really smart bans. They didn't have good options for in July. The Darkseid feels like a forced pick to
Yeah,
me.
I wouldn't say that I heavily favor IG, but yet again, I'm going to go back to the execution-wise, like we talked about in the last game where Hellraisers played Wraith. Execution-wise, IG, it's more easy for them to execute if they have a sort of small lead or even game. But for LGD, they need the game to go late, obviously, so that the Ember plus Medusa could come online. And early game, Darkseer, sometimes you like the Vichy game, we saw the Darkseer didn't work. Sometimes early game, Darkseer
He's going to
falls,
have a really hard time entering the lane
falls
this game.
behind and he's not going to do anything.
All right, well, with that said, guys, we're going to hand it over to our commentators, SUNSfan and syndereN. They'll be taking you through IG versus LGD. Winner gets an extra $70,000. Loser, eliminated, no chance to advance. This is BO1, do or die. Here we go.
Thank you, LD. I don't know about you, syndereN, but my body is ready. Yeah, I want to mention really quickly going into this game, this one has a risk of going very long. So if you don't want to miss any action, this is your time to get a cold beverage and to take a little potty break if you need that.
Probably reconnect.
Because
right?
yeah, I absolutely need to reconnect. I'm lagging a lot over here.
Thankfully, the mainstream is looking
all
real
good.
good.
So of course, both teams with ridiculous late game. IG have Drow, Shadow Fiend, and Void with Venge Aura and Drow Aura, obviously. LGD with Death Ward from Witch Doctor, Ember Spirit, and Medusa late game. So wow.
I agree with the guys in the studio. IG's lineup is just insane. Absolutely insane. And let's go over the lineup so we have a chance. Of course, it doesn't necessarily... It might not even go late game because Drow hits really hard really early as well.
They have the potential to end the game early, but I think LGD's lineup can impress. Surprise and impress, and it lies with the ease of execution, though. Their lineup is really hard to play, so they need to pull out some big plays in this game.
All right, for IG, Ferrari is going to be playing the Shadow Fiend, also known as Shadow Friend. Chizbug's going to be playing the Skywrath Mage, while Chuan plays the Vengeful Spirit. Ji, also known as Luo, on the Drow Ranger, and last but not least is June on the off-lane Faceless Void. This is... Haven't seen an off-lane Faceless Void in a decent amount of time. I kind of... Believe it or not, I kind of miss it for some reason.
Yeah, this is kind of TI4 meets the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's IG's draft right there, actually. For LGD, in the bottom lane, we're going to start with In July on the Darkseer. Sorry, Weppers, you had to go for a little bit of a jump there. Salar in the mid lane will be playing on his Medusa, one of his absolute best heroes. And in the top lane, it's going to be Faith and MMY, the IO tandem, together with Witch Doctor and Yao. Will be playing Ember Spirit. I would agree with that probably being his best hero. He has not been impressing too much overall in the tournament, but in an elimination match, sometimes you go for your absolute comfort zone.
We haven't seen Darkseer in quite a while, other than the one game that we cast, and I can't remember who it was, but it was awful. It turned out to be awful in the end.
Yeah, we've also...
I can't remember the reasons why at this point.
Yeah, in our cast, there was only that one game, I think.
I'm sure there might have been
Tong Fu that comes to mind for me, but today, Vici Gaming played it, and they also lost.
Oh, that's true. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
It's okay. It's a long time ago.
What do you think about that matchup in general? It's going to be the Ion Shelling Darkseer versus Skywrath Mage and Drow Ranger. That's a tall order. And
it looks like that's...
just gave up already.
Yeah. What I think about that matchup is In July is doing the right thing right now. He can't do anything in this lane. Going into the jungle is probably the best choice. He's going to meet his best friends, the Mud Golems. They're going to wave at him. He's not even going to wave back because... Yeah, sad face is pretty much the way of looking at that. He might stack the big camp.
That's a rough start.
And yeah, this is unfortunate.
But he's a hero that can kind of bounce back, so I'm not super worried. But as far as the execution goes, it's going to be a lot harder for LGD, obviously, since they have... I mean, they have, on paper, like they were saying in the studio, some great combos, but it's going to take the execution. The Vacuum into Searing Chains, Medusa just being there. I mean, that's kind of her job. Man, more Mud Golems. Poor In July.
Both camps spawned Mud Golems as the first camp.
That's like a big slap you in the face by Ice Frog.
You cannot get more unlucky than this as Darkseer.
Yeah.
I think.
He is level 2, though.
Oh, this big camp could have spawned Satyrs. That would have been even worse, because then the Ursas would have healed to full now. At least he gets to do that. Darkseer, like you said, though, he's a pretty fast jungler. Can take advantage of both. He can stack more than one camp at a time if he uses Vacuum, which he will not be skilling yet, but... or, of course, just Surge pulls one camp and then runs to the other very quickly and pulls that one out with the right timing. It's very easy to jungle Darkseer on Dire compared to Radiant because of these two camps and how they are placed relative to each other. Very easy to take the big camp, pull over to the left one, and aggro them out. Not so easy when it's Mud Golems, but we might see him do it later as he's going to go back to base. He's got level 3. This could be his call to go bottom again.
Yeah, level 3 and June at the top lane. What level is he right now, actually?
He is level 1.
Wow. Getting zoned out. It's going to hit level 2 now. And as far as the discrepancy between the two, what's more important, getting levels on the Void early or Darkseer early? Because we said Darkseer can catch up a bit. Void as an offlaner doesn't necessarily need items to be effective. It's just like his ult, worst case scenario, is still extremely good. Mid lane, though, before we get to that, Sylar takes some damage. There is a gank attempt here from
Oh, the smoke broke.
IG.
They saw him. They ping it out. This really gives away that IG rotation, wasting quite a bit of time. I think it's better to get the levels on Darkseer because of how much he can use them for. So if he gets a fast level 7, he can jungle very fast. And if you get a level 7 on an offlane Void with no items, he can go into the jungle and poke his stick at a Satyr camp, and that's going to take him like 20 seconds to clear that out, or maybe 30. So in July, he's not going to get that. It's actually going to go to Chuan. He has a chance here. He's going to start pursuing.
Close at all, though.
Still has Aurora. There's the Surge. This is when he should stun. Okay, doesn't want to use the mana. Yeah, that kill was actually not going to happen in any way with the Stout Shield on in July.
Well, looking at the farm discrepancy, 22 and 18 for the Drow at the bottom lane, while top lane, Ember Spirit, 25 and 16. But yeah, like the who is the cameraman right now? Is this Wepus or LD?
I think it's Wepus, but I could be wrong.
I think it's LD.
Okay.
That's my guess, just based on the movements.
And the sad smiley in the jungle.
Is that his calling card?
LD, if this is you doing camera,
Did you just say sad smiley, by the way?
Yeah. Isn't that what he drew?
That a smile. It's just a frown. At the end of the day, Jude's taking some damage. Maledict.
He drew a sad face. Okay.
Yeah, a sad smile. That contradicts each other. Don't you see?
Oh, you still call it a smiley though, don't you? The sad one is still called a smiley. I am right. Do not argue with me on this subject.
All right, whatever.
I am master of the internet.
There is a massive stack for Ferrari to take out in the jungle.
Yep.
And that is going to catapult. I mean, he's already the top farmer right now in the game, so he's doing extremely well. Of course, with help from Chuan, with the Howl of Terror. He's going to add insult.
Oh yeah, this has to be LD because he's making the boxes on the map.
He's
I think
a box
it's LD.
maker? Is that what he is?
LD, if this is you doing camera right, LD in the river in the middle of the map.
He's not going to do it. He's
No,
just trying to
probably
play.
not. He's trying to make Wepus look bad.
All right, this is going to be a long game, so you guys are going to have to sit and try to get as comfortable as possible. I've opened up a beverage of choice, and it has caffeine in it. I'll just say that.
All right, I'm willing to. Okay, let me try to rephrase that. When's First Blood gonna be? Pre or past 10
Within the next
minutes?
2 minutes, which could be now. In
Okay.
fact. It's already popped.
Great
Here's
call,
the frost arrows
Sins.
from the. Oh man, look at that call. I was correct, bro. The next 2 minutes.
Wasn't
That's 10
literally
seconds.
5 seconds after. How boring.
No, okay. So
That
if
took all
IG
the
wins
tension
this
away.
game, I think it's gonna be. Actually, they might win regardless, depending on how late it goes. I think they can win in like 40 to 45 minutes. Because Drow just gets so sick.
I think they either win it before 35 or after
like 80.
80. Yeah, something like
It's
that.
true. It's really weird when you look at a lineup like that. As Chuan's going to help out Ferrari take out that massive, massive stack. He is now the highest level in the game at level 8, and Vengeful Spirit just catapults 2 levels just like that from one giant stack. Medusa now, level 6.5 in the mid lane.
And Ferrari's going mech on the Shadow Fiend. So hearing Drow laying into in July.
Yeah. Not going to be enough for the kill, but Gust is... I would say that's a pretty underrated ability. It is super good in the right situation.
Can't say disgusting without Gust, right?
That's pretty good,
Didn't think about
actually.
that, did you?
How long have you been holding on to that one?
2 seconds?
That's a lie.
All right, 5 days. I don't know. I think I've thought about it before, but never used it. Now it came to
Okay,
mind again.
there you
I
go.
forget my jokes every 5 minutes.
I've
okay.
seen your notepad. You write them down. You have them open right on the desk.
I have a notepad saying I'm with stupid that I open every cast.
Okay.
Yep.
That's just mean.
Just with you though.
June, level
Don't open it
4.5
with
versus the
LD.
Darkseer, level 5.5. So he's doing much better than June, who's going to get caught out. Searing Chains. He has a time walk.
Oh, he's
Maledict
gonna die.
Still apply, but the Wisp Balls going to finish him off with ease. And MMY takes a kill for LGD. That's going to be a 1-for-1 as far as the score is concerned.
How much have we talked about Io's role in this game? Not so much, right?
I don't think we've mentioned the Wisp one time.
No. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because what's interesting about this is there's no classic duo, right? There's no classic second wheel of the bicycle for MMY, but
I wouldn't call Medusa I wouldn't call it classic, but it's still.
yeah. So that's, I mean, the most usual ones are Tiny, Chaos Knight, arguably Sven.
Gyro
as well.
at some point.
Gyro was
passed.
picked a lot. What else have we seen Io with in this tournament? Juggernaut has been pretty prevalent. But with Medusa, I think this is the first time I see it, at least this tournament. She is extremely good with overcharge. She's ridiculously hard to bring down and deals a lot of damage.
Well, that's. I mean, she becomes. At certain point, you got to just go for the Wisp, I feel. Because Medusa is just such a siege tank.
You've got to do that
Yao
in general
gonna
if you
initiate
can.
Onto G. The Gust is there, though. And Yao taking a lot of damage, but it's the Drow Ranger that ends up falling. And even the Wisp wasn't able to get out in time. So it's a
TP
1 for
from
1.
Yao. Wow.
TP
Oh
out.
my goodness. He got away with that.
Be good.
Really nice escape from him. Thought he was going to try to just fire Remnant across and then run, but would also have been a risky play. And he does manage to get out as Chon doesn't find him. So what's the trade-off there? IO for Drow. I think they forced a TP as well. Out of, I want to say Ferrari. Poured it down with the Shadow Fiend. That opens up the mid lane for Sylar to farm and push out. He is, by the way, getting completely destroyed in lane by Shadow Fiend. Probably one of the best laners against Medusa in general. Just hits harder,
We're gonna
pushes
see a
harder.
lot of relocate ganks.
No.
I mean, that's the problem with the combos. It's not that great. I mean, the Stone Gaze could be used, I suppose. Ember Spirit, maybe. It's not that bad, Ember Spirit. It's just not as good as the traditional ones we've seen. We are going to see the mechanism onto the Shadow Fiend, so getting that early tankiness. And it's a sub 10-minute mech, not too bad at all, I have to say.
Yeah, that's a pretty good time. He has 80 CS in the mid lane, which is pretty much close to ideal tier. Yeah, we'll be getting the haste. This is the best rune on Ember early game. It is extremely powerful. Very easy to stay on your target with a Flame Guard. Very easy to reset and re-engage without having to use mana on Fire End, which is a scarce resource in the early game for this hero. We might see Yao trying to make a play or two, as Ferrari, however, does have an invis, and he could go try to unwind the Requiem on top of in July, which would be pretty much an instant kill. Does have the backup of Chuan. Maybe they just try to bait this one, as Chuan's going to hit level 6 now. You know what I want to see? I want to see a Requiem that gets swapped into.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That would look good.
That doesn't cancel it?
If you swap the Shadow
If
Fiend.
it's in-
Yeah, but if Venge stands next to Shadow Fiend in Fog, and he starts channeling, and then you swap a target into the Shadow Fiend.
Oh, I see.
Which is extremely difficult,
Okay.
but yeah. That would be a
would be
top
pretty
play by both our metric and the Chinese top plays
No,
from today.
I don't think it'll be in the Chinese top plays, actually. They,
No, it won't
they
be
go
too
for
good
the
for
worst
them.
of the worst, I believe. That's the
They go for the, Tide, either Ravaged or Died in the Chrono plays.
Yeah, and there's no Tide in this game, so there's not going to be any top plays
That
no
is
matter
true.
what happens. We have a smoke gank. Attempt here from IG into the mid lane. They're going to gank their own tier 1 mid. Chuan does have swap. Here we go. On silence onto Yao as well. He gets blown up before he can do anything. 30 seconds on the deck. June wants to Chronosphere. Didn't have enough mana for it anyway. But doesn't really matter too much.
That's not the way to do it. Ember can't initiate like this until he has Sleight of Fist. He needs a way of dodging the Venge Stun, but even then there's the silence too. This is going to be a tower, I think, for IG. Their 5-range lineup with Drow Ward doing some damage, or maybe not. MMY is able to force them away with the spirits.
It's a double silence too. I mean, they have Ancient Seal from Skyrath, and I don't think Gus was even needed that time.
No. He just got blown up. Yao cannot play aggressively like this. That's the main weakness of Ember in this game, is that Ember kind of wants to have 2 phases that he peaks in. This is the first one, where he has level 4 Flame Guard and can really take fights with it. And the second one is late game, but he cannot really use his strength right now, because, well, to be honest, it's just counterpicked. There's a Chrono, there's Venge Stun, there's a Silence, there's 2 Silences, and 2 Shadow Raises will remove his Flame Guard too. Even one? I think 1 Shadow Raise with Ancient Seal is almost enough. It's
Really?
pretty close. So Shadow Raises, what do they do? 325, right? And then if the Ancient Seal is level 4, that amps it by 45%.
Okay.
So it's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's not enough, but very, very close.
Mid lane, we have the amalgamation of IG. She really wants to finish off this tier 1 tower mid. Has the Mask of Madness in tow. And for LGD, what do they have to counter the Drought? Somebody that needs to get up close and personal. You have the Fire Spirits of Ember Spirit.
Yeah.
And that's really it. I mean, you have Surge to some degree. And the Relocate, I guess, but that
They
can be
might
done.
need to use Darkseer for that with a Blink. I think Mech Blink
Okay,
is the
I
build.
like that. Uh-oh. Stun out to Styler. He has Stone Gaze, but he's going to get silenced. Requiem of Soul. Burst damage is way too much for him to handle. Fortitude advantage for IG. Is they're going to transition this into a tier 1 top. Not sure if anybody can defend. They're not even going to try.
Yeah, this tower is totally gone. In July, trying to get a trade bottom. If he manages, that should be his mech. And then, so there's 2 reasons for the Blink. One is it's a way for them to get in close to the Drow. The second one is I think there's no other way he gets a good wall. Like, if you look at the combination he has with his team, it's pretty much non-existent. Unless if you're thinking, if he wants to land it on 2 heroes, that should be fairly easy. They can slide into chains, or they
Oh,
can...
here we go again. I've seen this before, and Yao dies in that scenario. Oh, never mind. It's just an illusion, friends.
Welcome to the sequel.
Well, Wisp is level 6 now, so the relocate coming into effect. He's probably going to untether here, so Yao can perhaps get a Sleight of Fist Searing Chains combination.
Oh,
Ferrari.
it's going to be close. He could fire Remnant.
And the tactical pause is here.
So, we've learned that Ka means lag.
Yes. How Ka?
But this is not Kale. So,
What is Lei?
I am not sure.
Ka is what?
It
Yeah,
can
Ka.
also not be Hao lagging, because Hao's not playing the game. He's
Right.
out of the tournament. We're
Maybe they're just referencing him for some
poking newbie once again today. As Yao's going to fire the Spirit the wrong way.
Oh,
Ferrari,
yeah.
oh my goodness. He's actually going to get out. That's bad news for LGD. That was a free kill they really needed.
Meanwhile, bottom lane, with all those TPs used, LGD's tower is in quite a bit of peril.
It
Ask
is
a man is
gone.
up. Fortification, not going to be used. I'm actually not sure if that was up.
I don't
assume
think it
wasn't
was.
the tier 1s.
I think it wasn't, but at the same time, I think the best chance of denying that is actually to not glyph and have Sylar do the surprise deny attempt. But his damage is not 1,000,000 like Drow's is. He's running with 85, so pretty unfair.
Yeah, but they have a siege tank with Medusa.
That's true. She
eats.
I was
a lot
about
of
to say she's a siege tank, so she should do extra damage to towers, but no need. I think
don't
Medusa
there's-
should
What if
not.
there was an item that lets you do extra damage to towers, not including the minus armor?
I think that could be pretty interesting. If that was balanced out the right way.
4 hits from Medusa. It's like a siege tank. This tower's dead one way or another. Who's going to get the last hit? It's going to be Ferrari. So that's 3 tier 1 towers in about, I want to say, a minute and a half taken for IG. As Ferrari himself is going to be going for a BKB. Not really that far off, honestly, is Yao getting healed up by Wisp. Getting some desperation farm in the jungle.
Man, he is really poor.
Yeah, I'm assuming he's going to finish the drums, but...
This is shocking. He has 70 CS, which is not amazing minute 15, let's be honest, but still. This item build of his, when you have a safe lane Ember, I want to say it's common to have it about minute 10, maybe excluding the bottle. So maybe minute 12. So he's 4 minutes behind par on his safe lane farm in this game. And sure, they've been challenged, but not that much. I think it's just been the decision-making and the movements that haven't really paid enough dividends for them. Well, maybe they're going to get the tier 1 top now. There's no defense from IG. I think they could hold it,
They can
but
just go for Roche, IG.
they're scared.
They
Yeah,
can just take it. I mean, what do you think about tier 1 top traded for Roche? at
good
this
trade,
point?
especially when the tower's that low. I mean, it's gone anyway. This,
They have so
yeah,
much minus
LGD
armor.
know this is happening. No one's defending top. They have to be doing Roche, Sylar.
Can he
Oh
get
my
there in
god, this
time?
is so scary going in. He's going to die too.
Sylar has Stone Gaze Veil. He's going to get silenced before he can use his Aegis. Is onto the Shadow Fiend. The right clicks are going to go into Sylar. Chronosphere's only on 2 heroes, but the Mystic Flare might be enough to take out In July, and it is, but just barely so. Ferrari, remember, he has the Aegis. He'll be coming back. The Void, the only casualty for IG at the current moment of time. There's the Stone Gaze. Ferrari trying to get off his ult, but he gets swapped by Chuan. Not sure if that's exactly what was intended. Chuan, either way, turned to Stone. Right clicks, not quite enough to take him out. And now IG might be going to the aggression. Yao gets silenced at first, uses a Fire Rem to get out. Ferrari, looks like this might break things up. It's a 2-for-1 with Aegis used.
I think Chuan just saved the enemy team with that swap. Very, very unusual mistake from him. There was no need to swap the Shadow Fiend. He had full health. He was channeling the Requiem.
Was he faced the other way?
I think it would have got it off anyway. He
Well,
started channeling it
Yeah, but
before.
was he... I'm just curious if he was going to be turned to stone or not.
Well, even then, you could just swap him after.
True.
So I think that was a little bit of a mistake from Chuan. Might have been able to net them another kill or two. Ultimately, though, they do get the Roche. But considering how Yao went into that, or sorry, Sylar, I think LGD should be really happy with the trade they got. And the fact that there's no Aegis to put pressure for IG is perhaps the most important thing. The Chronosphere only on 1 hero. The Witch Doctor Ward very nicely placed by Faith. He does end up going down to the Shadow Fiend, but he did what he needed to do.
All right, I'm actually curious about something about Medusa in the past, and maybe you can explain this to me. I want to say, in days of old, and maybe not even that old, first item on Medusa is 80% of the time a Lincoln Sphere.
Yes.
And nowadays, it's, I feel like, less than 10%.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I want to say it's because the Lincoln Sphere's stat to price value is a lot lower, and now that it's so much more about this brute force physical damage, Scotty just gives you... I mean, the Lincoln's ultimately doesn't really do anything if you can remove it easily, right? He's playing into... In this game, I mean, this is just one game out of many, right? But Skywrath can very easily remove it with just an Arcane Bolt, and then the Lincoln's has very bad value. In a lot of the other games, I think it's just because she's being played more as... It's a way of making her active earlier on. Lincoln's is a build-up that takes longer because you need your secondary item. It would often be Lincoln Scotty, Lincoln's into Butterfly or whatever. The Scotty's just... It gives more for less money, apart from the spell block, which is not so good these days.
Gets a Chrono, Mystic Flare on top of that, but Wisp relocates, but very close to the original location. Yao gets silenced again and dies as a result. MMY is going to come back with the relocate.
Why?
Do they have enough to take him out? In all likelihood, they can just kill him before it even happens. Oh my god. That was super weird.
What?
You seem speechless right now, syndereN.
That is not an MMY play. He never makes these mistakes. That was so strange. Those short-range relocates you usually go for if you are able to turn the fight around, but they had no backup coming their way. So a short-range relocate just makes no sense in that situation. And I feel like he had enough time to target it properly into the base and then cast it, but might have just been a misclick. Might have hit the minimap when he wanted to, I don't know. Maybe click back to base, wanted to click the relocate and ended up clicking on the map. That can happen. Could be the reason, but that's very, very unfortunate losing 2 heroes for that.
Well, they won't lose the tier 2 at the very least, and Medusa not too far away from a Scotty. Just needs another ultimate orb and Orb of Venom, and it's complete. Is that... Do you think that's the correct item to go in this game? First?
The Scotty?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. He needs to tank up. The good news for him is that there's no counter in IG to... They have no mana burn. They hit extremely hard, but they need to hit a lot. And I like the choice of Faith in this game, going for the Medallion on the Witch Doctor. It's great aggressively for his Death Ward, but he can also put that on the Dusa in the fights. The extra 7 armor against this IG lineup is going to work wonders come mid-game. And at the end of the day, LGD, if they saw what the gold graph was like now, that they're 7,500 behind... I don't want to say everything's going according to plan, because I'm pretty sure they planned for something better, but they have overcome worse. They were so far behind against VG
Faith's
Gaming.
dead. Just wanted to update you on that.
Okay.
And with that, the tier 2 probably will go down as well, honestly. I don't know if they even want to defend this. Sylar still doesn't have the Scotty, so not really in the mood to fight at the moment. Chuan does have swap available. Here we go. The silence on top of it into a Mystic Flare. Is this enough to take him out? Gust on top of it. He has 3 silences on him. For God's sake, another relocate.
Oh,
not
what?
gonna save him. The projectile ends up finishing him off.
What?
Oh my lord.
That was invisible.
What was that projectile from?
It was just a Shadow Fiend shot that went through the ground. MMY almost getting caught. There's the Chrono. Perfect.
MMY is going to be the first target of choice, and Yao perhaps the second. A nice vacuum by In July. It's going to thwart the push any further. G did pop the BKB, and now they're on the run. Medusa's back, but Yao, that is a 2-shot if I've ever seen it. Faith dies right off the bat, and the Medusa, my goodness, I don't even know. I mean, BKBs have been used, so IG probably can't go any further, but they're hitting extremely hard at the moment. Even projectiles across the map are killing him.
I think LGD pretty much lost as much in the last minute as they did in the first 21. That's pretty scary. The Medusa Scotty's far off. They're going to lose 2 tier 2s. The Ember of Yao, totally out of position with that play. Easy kill. But the Medusa kill, obviously the grand prize there, in addition to the towers. They don't look like they're going to stop. There's a swap again from Chuan.
Tons of silences. MMY, does he have a relocate is the question.
That could be a lane.
It's on cooldown.
I don't think they can hold against
He doesn't
this.
have buyback for 60 seconds. BKBs will be back relatively shortly for IG.
Creep waves coming in. Chuan with the swaps. Apart from that one at the Roche Pit, these swaps have been perfect.
What level is he?
He's level 11.
Okay, well,
that was a level 2
explains a
swap
lot.
right
Yeah.
there. The previous ones, I think, were all level 1.
He's been putting himself in a really good position. Here we have Sleight of Fist. Basically tickles IG at this point.
There is no farm on this Ember. Good slide chains. I lost half the tower. Ferrari should have mech ready in... Oh, that's quite a while. 40 seconds ish.
He just used it, yeah.
And they don't have any urn charges on
I mean,
Twan.
this is the thing. They don't really have to push. They
No.
could just wait for Roche,
This
get a
is
little bit
okay.
of security in their system, and even Shadow Fiend has an Eagle Song at the moment. He could just finish that Butterfly pretty damn shortly as well.
Oh my lord, they're far ahead. 15,000 gold, 13,000 experience, farming the enemy ancients, pushing out the top lane. They have 3 physical damage cores, all starting to get items. June was a bit behind, of course, being off lane, but he has still managed to get 75 CS at minute 24, which isn't all that bad. Their Venge is level 11 with maxed Aura and maxed Wave of Terror. Skywrath is level 10, maxed Silence. They have absolutely everything they need to end this game very soon. But it's against a Dusa.
There's
and a
always
Darkseer.
that,
And Darkseer has the blink. So this is when the play becomes possible for them.
but the problem is the BKBs, I think, right now for IG, and especially considering there's such, they have such high duration at the moment. And of course, the thing to keep in mind is Stone Gaze, which I don't think has it been used once, maybe one time. I don't think it's been used, has it? He's been silent
Once in the
every
Roche
single
pit.
time.
The Roche pit fight.
Oh, that's right. That's
he got
right.
it off. That's the
So he
only
got it
time.
off one time. It does go through BKB, so that's something to keep in mind for the future engagements. And this is how scared LGD is now. They have to team Ancient, and it's barely even a stack. And he's actually at the same amount of gold he was like 5 minutes ago, I want to say.
Yep.
So same. I mean, it's not that far away from Mascotti at the end of the day, but
That Scotty is going to turn out so underwhelming when you look at how hard IG hit.
yeah.
Drow has 250 damage, Shadowfiend has 250 damage, Void has 120, and that's without the Venge next to them, right?
I think the
Once
last
that
resort
kicks
for
in,
LGD is to try to stop this Roche, contest it in some way.
I think they're going to get crushed. But
Do they have it? I mean, what if you give it up? Is that game?
I think giving it up is better, and the reason is that they don't have enough to combo with the Vacuum. If they had, say, an Enigma or a Shaker or a Sand King, whatever, they could try for it. But with this, they're going to be vacuuming into a Stone Gaze, but Medusa can't get into the fight.
Yeah.
They have to relocate her in, which gives it away entirely, or she has to get a Blink, which I really don't think
That's a good
Sylar
point.
wants
They don't
to.
have any like really high burst damage, and Ember might do that later in the game once he picks up some items, but it's certainly not
He's
the case
so,
right now.
so far behind.
BKB completed by Void, and I think it's just Roche for IG once he's up, which I think he is now, actually.
Yep, June starting.
All right. June with the Mask of Madness BKB treads. They're going to have quite a bit of minus armor now.
All right, look at this Roche now.
It's going to be a free Roche. How much minus armor are we working with, syndereN?
Okay, minus 15.
Pretty good.
Minus 11, he has positive 4. Easy
By the
kill.
way, just throwing it out there, Ferrari, I should say Shadow Fiend with haste is probably the coolest animation in the game. That right there. It's like he's flying.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool.
All he wants to do is, since he was a little boy, is just fly. Fly away. And he's doing so in spades today.
Here comes the siege.
The siege
They're going to have to glyph this.
begins again.
So there's the glyph, delays it 1 wave. Time to strategize
They
for
got Scotty
LGD.
now. Searing Chains going to be countered by the Mech Force Staff.
IG could just slow siege this with Shadow Fiend.
Is that the plan, you think? Slow siege?
I don't see why not. Just have Shadow Fiend in the front lines. He has Aegis and he has a Butterfly, so the kill is going to be extremely hard. Also with 20 armor, that doesn't hurt. And they don't have single target damage, right? Like the LGD lineup, all it has is spread damage unless there's a Death Ward, and they can't afford to use that on the Aegis. So, I don't know. They can sit in here for as long as they want and get out farmed.
Well, Drow is super close to Butterfly, so maybe that's what they're waiting for.
Yep, that's a good
In
point.
fact, can pick it up pretty much now. That's going to be a double Butterfly on IG, and the only ones you're really scared of, even to the late game, of course, is Ember Spirit and Medusa, which have no way to really do anything about that. He does have a double damage, but I feel like that's going to be quite underwhelming at this stage of the game with that little farm. But I think the couriers bring everything over. So they probably wait for that. Well, that's just a talisman, actually. He could go to the side shop if he really wants it, but... Actually, what does he bring that over? Oh, he might be taking it to the side shop, actually. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. I think it's go time. They don't have to, though. They could just wait and farm up more. Ultimately, this game is pretty much already won. The only way they can lose it is by overextending. They can farm the entire map. They can gain another 5 to 10k gold lead if they want, so they're up to about 30. And then they can siege. Because LGD don't have any any pick-off or fighting potential. Their entire early game idea fell apart. They never even got to execute the Iron Shell onto the Ember, I think. They tried, and he got shut down and just killed off very easily by the heavy lineup of IG. And well,
It doesn't look like they even want to bother with this tier 2 top. It's the last outer tower for LGD. It'll give them a little bit of a gold influx, but right now LGD is just stuck inside their base. They do have a turtle-ish lineup, kind of. I mean, Medusa's a turtle hero, Darkseer to some extent, Ember kind of, but there's no Magnus, there's no Tidehunter, there's no Enigma, as you brought up earlier.
and in addition to all of that, turtling doesn't really help if your late game isn't better than that of the enemy team. The only way they win this very, very late game is wall. That is the spell, because there's 3 agility carries on the Radiant team. But we just haven't seen it from in July. It's extremely hard to land against this lineup. If IG don't cluster up, I cannot possibly imagine them losing a fight. This is very, very difficult territory for LGD. They're going to try to find whatever farm they can. Sending out Yao in the bottom lane is he, of course, can Remnant back. And their ward in the jungle, this one right now is what's allowing them to farm bottom since they've seen the rotations from the Radiant. But IG just being very methodical, very careful. They know the only way they can lose is to make a mistake, and they're just not doing it.
Yeah, they're going to take the tier 2 top. And remember, this is an elimination game. And this is probably any other game they would have tried to push full throttle by now. But playing it safe. Don't want to pull a Cloud9. Damn. Just kidding. I love Cloud9. They know that. Gem of True Sight.
Not anymore.
On IG. They do. I promise. Fortification was used semi-recently. And this damage. Ugh, it's just so sick.
Okay.
Anything about this. What is their teamfight potential? Sleight of Fist. Just tickles the creeps. Range Rax is completely destroyed. And Ferrari, here comes the initiation. In July, this might be the last stand for LGD. Ferrari gets chronoed by his own teammate. And the Mystic Flare doing next to nothing, but Witch Doctor looks to be the first to die. Nope, he's going to stay alive with the Voodoo Restoration. Ferrari, remember, he still has the Aegis, so not worrying about dying too much. The wall, not sure if it actually got any illusions there. Chuan's going to be the first actual death in this fight. The Melee Rex will live, at least for now, but Ferrari takes it out and will sacrifice his life in the end. A Rax for a Vengeful Spirit Shadow Fiend. I mean, that gave a lot of gold to LGD.
I want to see how much gold that gave.
Okay. Okay, Dota. That makes sense, right?
All right, let me put it this way. They really need it. They really need it. That's not nearly enough. It's a 4K swing, but they trade a lane of Rex for that, and they have no hope of taking objectives yet. So IG can get the next Roche and do the same to the bottom lane. It's going to take them like 3 or 4 minutes, but over those minutes, they're going to accumulate an even bigger lead. LGD, man, this is not looking good. Sure, you get 2 kills there. Maybe 1 too many, actually. Chuan could have stayed alive.
It's a really short Roche timer, actually. It was only like 15 seconds past the minimum. And that, in all likelihood, will be what IG needs to get a second Rax. And it just feels like we're waiting for the inevitable to happen. I mean, I believe each IG carry is going to pick up a core item in that time as well. I mean, we have Drow. Not sure what she's going to be working on, but she has 3,600 gold.
So, to put things in perspective compared to the Cloud9 game, which we've brought up, where they were 25k gold ahead against Big God and lost, I think this would be an even bigger comeback from LGD if they managed to. Because it's even, like, the gold differential is not as big. It's still 20k.
Oh, mid lane.
But just
Sylar.
the lineup.
Oh, boy. Where's the whiz?
Oh.
Again, he picks it. Go, bah, 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 bah. All right, they live. That was almost a disaster again.
But why?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Good tether out. Okay.
Oh, okay, well, Chrono's going to get MMY. It's better than nothing. Not exactly the target he wanted.
This is pretty puzzling. So the reason this comeback for LGD would be even bigger is that in the Big God game, Big God had a Medusa, and arguably Cloud9's lineup would fall off a little bit toward the later portion of the game. IG, even if they lose a couple of fights and the gold evens out, I still think they have a really good lineup for the late game. And here comes the siege mid. They're going to force the glyph. A little bit of harassment from Ember. They just can't go in. Shadowblade now on Void.
Okay, interesting.
Style points for June. Not sure what this is all about. This ward here doing work.
Well, it gives
for
you
LGD.
initiation capabilities that, I mean, you don't need to use Chronosphere for every kill, perhaps.
Then you could get a blink, right? I mean, that's a totally legit item on Void, by the way.
Oh, I mean, they don't need damage, that's for sure.
Yeah, so he could get a blink.
True.
I actually think blink would have been a nicer choice overall.
How come Voids have kind of stayed away from Aghanim Scepter lately? I mean, I know that the refresher was changed, or not refresher, Chronosphere, the
Mana cost.
The mana cost went up by 100.
Dependent on level. It's 100
at
more on
level
level
3.
3, yeah.
Right. So you're probably not going to see refreshers that often on Void, but why not Aghanims? Especially in this case when you're an offlaner.
Yeah.
Not that it matters, I guess.
I actually am not so sure because, I mean, first of all, Void isn't getting picked that much. That's the first thing. So we won't see it that much because the hero doesn't get picked. But I want to say generally they just don't get the amounts of farm that really put them in a great position to get the Ags. And in addition to that, many of the Void games, Void has been a secondary core and there hasn't been the third, right? But in this one there's a Shadow Fiend and a Drow and a Void. So I would agree entirely that this could be an Ags game since he really doesn't need to go damage. But in other games, if you want your Void to have a good damage output, Ags is not really the way to go. So teams are generally prioritizing Mask into Mjolnir or BKB, and then the other one of those two, and then damage items. But you're right. If you want the refresher, you kind of have to take the Ags route now, which I think is a great change. That you can't just go blank refresher because you don't have the mana.
Well, Ember Spirit, he finished the battlefield pretty much right after that huge engagement where they lost the racks. He's going to be working on MKB for the double butterfly of IG.
Yeah, it's the right item.
And double, oh boy. Ferrari has a double damage. Probably going for Scotty next. I guess it could be a Manta, but I highly doubt that.
Manta's nice against chains.
Yeah, Manta's good against that. Well, Siege, I guess the illusions have been nerfed quite a bit for sieging buildings, but I guess either one would be fine. But considering he picked up the ultimate orb first, pretty sure it's going to be a Scotty. June? With that Lothar's intact. I mean, they're going to have trouble finding people because LGD just doesn't want to leave their base, and they're playing super safe, as you would expect. But when you're looking at LGD's lineup, is there any way to get aggressive? Because if you're behind, you want to take more risks to try to get back into the game, but
no,
their heroes just don't really...
There is no way.
You're just giving them no chance, are you?
There is no way for this lineup to play aggressively into IG's lineup. They have total map control, they have the better fight, they have a 20k gold lead. LGD drafted themselves into this hole in the start, and they needed to perform super early with the Darkseer, the IO, and the Witch Doctor. They didn't manage to find kills, and this is the position their lineup is going to be stuck in until one of two things happens. Either IG ends the game, so they get to go out of the booth, or they get a miraculous comeback, which would consist in two or three teamfights won in succession in their own base. And I think, you know what, my money is on the Prior, which is just that they go to the bottom lane and smack this tower down.
Well, double damage won't last too much longer, but good thing for Ferrari, he does have the Aegis. And the items just keep piling up. MKB for Drow, Blink for Vengeful Spirit. At least Medusa has Manta of her own. The question is, who picked up the cheese for IG?
It's on Drow.
Okay, Drow. Oh, boy.
Okay, so here's my prediction in the next team fight.
Yes?
LGD are going to do their best, and then they're going to be all over the floor after 5 seconds. Let's see.
Okay, 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
T-minus 5 seconds. Well, they're going to try to smoke in behind, try to flank them, create a sandwich of sort. G might be the first target. They're going to place... Okay, they did that for the ward placement. And they did that for the ward placement. That's the desperation that we've come for LGD. Ferrari, just right-clicking. He's the new siege tank, this time for IG. Here come the Searing Chains, or the Sleight of Fist, I should say. Here comes the Vacuum into the wall. I think it might have gotten one illusion, but the BKBs were popped so fast. Ferrari taking a lot of damage from the Death Ward. A nice swap from Chuan. He might sacrifice his life for this. In fact, he does. The question is, does this...
5 seconds. That was a really good vacuum wall. He got 4 illusions in that wall. And as a result, IG do get forced back. So the Stone Gaze was really well placed there, and I'm not quite sure if that swap from Chuan was really worth it, sacrificing himself to keep the Aegis safe. Because if Ferrari dies there, they might... Well, he used his BKB, so I guess that's actually a good play. Yeah. Great initiation from LGD, but they get 1 kill and Avenge, and they use their entire combo. Witch Doctor ult, Vacuum Wall, and Stone Gaze. So, okay, here comes the 5-second fight.
They're not even going to wait for Chuan to come back. Ferrari, remember, he doesn't have BKB. Taking a decent amount of damage. Maledict connects. He's at half HP. Here comes the Chronosphere.
Horrible
it's only
chrono.
on one hero, though. MOY brings somebody back. It's the Medusa, Sylar. But all for naught is Ferrari now. It's all by his lonesome. Of course, Aegis was there. Does his team want to actually help him here is the question. Ferrari pops BKB, has that backup. Requiem of Souls is there. But Sylar, I believe he just popped the Stone Gaze. No, it's up in 16 seconds. He's going to continue to slow with that Scotty. Slide of Fist as well. Here comes the jump in from Void. Nice gust. In July is going to get blown up to the Mystic Flare. Sylar's silenced at the moment. They are somehow defending this push, but mid lane it looks like Void is just going to continue to push. Ferrari looks to be dead. The second Requiem of Souls goes down. Fortification pops. I don't know how they defended that.
Okay, so the issue for IG in this situation is that Luo doesn't get to attack. They're getting zoned out. Stone Gaze was on cooldown though. The chrono from June, where he hit the Shadow Fiend and one enemy target, ultimately delayed the game quite a bit. There was an opportunity to hit 2 heroes, one of which was not Shadow, or both of which were not Shadow Fiend. The only thing that needs to happen for IG to end this game is that June jumps, gets a chrono on 2 enemy heroes, 0 allies, and they can just run in and kill them all off, unless there's a Stone Gaze going on at the same time. So, I mean, when I said this 5-second thing, I know I was exaggerating, but still, that was just really not good execution from IG. Pretty lackluster. They don't lose too much, though. They lose a Shadow Fiend, and LGD hold the line, mainly because of the good play from In July in the first engagement, getting the 4-wall illusion wall.
Yeah.
And then in the second play, just sloppy from IG, I want to say. Okay. If LGD win this game... Okay, I'll eat my shoe.
Oh my goodness. I'm kind of rooting for LGD now. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not gonna
this is unfortunate for me. I bet on LGD. I thought I said they have great high ground defense and they can definitely make it, and IG will struggle to push, but I did not expect that they would get this far ahead with this kind of draft. But we're still seeing that somewhat being the case. This push was not good, but it was also not horrible. So LGD do not get enough out of that. They're going to need a bigger fight this time around. Sylar is working on some items. He hasn't.
All right, is this
MKB
an MKB
on the come up, I guess.
or a Divine? Tell me. Which one's more beneficial? 2 butterflies, mind you.
I think it's MKB. The Daedalus is not going to be enough. This is the way they can reliably output damage.
Well, I didn't ask Daedalus. I said Divine.
Oh, Divine. Oh, sorry. That's harder. I would say Divine.
I mean, they're in
It's go big or go home.
desperation mode, right?
Yeah.
So
they're actually going to go outside their base now because they don't want to lose this melee barracks. They did lose the range in the last fight from IG.
even Chuan is starting to get some farm despite sacrificing his life a couple times. And Helm of the Dominator now on Ferrari. So Satanic, probably the next choice. In fact, something's coming on the Courier. I'm not sure who that's for, but wouldn't surprise me it's for him. Nope, it's going to be Chizbug. It's teleportation scrolls, very important to have in this stage of the game. They've lost, I guess they have lost all their tier 1s. I actually thought that all, when I was thinking about that, all their towers would be up, but that's not the case. It just felt like that kind of a game. At what point does Ferrari just ditch the mech?
Next.
After Satanic is finished?
Yeah. Then he gets a greater item for himself. I think Daedalus is probably the best choice. Or... yeah, that's probably the best overall.
They're not expecting Medusa to get Butterfly anytime soon, so I guess MKB is not
necessary at all.
Not too necessary.
Well, if they wait long enough, Sylar is going to have a Rapier. And that might bump up LGD's chances of making the comeback quite a lot, because it puts a lot more pressure on IG. That's the thing about the game right now, is that Medusa, sure, she's got Stone Gaze, but she really doesn't hit that hard. I'm really surprised that LGD are able to hold the line against this IG lineup that is consisting of high armor heroes because of all their agility, with ridiculous damage, and the
it's just
real
hard to push in this patch, man. That's what it feels like.
It has to be the Darkseer Illusions that hold the line in the first place, but they still weren't willing to push in after that. And you're right, it is sieging the base into any sort of Medusa lineup is difficult, but I still feel like this is IG showing weakness, to be honest. And I'm saying that in the game they're owning, right? But
yeah. Well, they're going to get
this game should have been
at
over.
the very least. Question is, can LGD hold the line again? They did so last time, but that kind of just delayed the game, it feels like. They didn't really gain a huge advantage at all. They didn't really get any kills. Scotty now on Drow. This is the Illidan build of old. Doesn't even need to use Frost Arrows, I guess. But of course, the tank ability is just out of control. And yeah, the Aegis, or I'm sorry, the Roshan will be... was Cheese used? I don't think it was. But it's not
I
in,
think it was.
I don't remember seeing it, but okay.
Yeah, I think Drow used it.
They could just go for another Aegis cheese easily. If they really want to. Vengeful Spirit. I mean, Chuan can almost get an Ags at this point. And
Yep,
I don't
so
even
can
think
Void.
it's an underwhelming Ags, but I think it's this really ridiculously good Ags.
It's really good on
It's
Venge.
boring, but it actually makes it way more effective, I feel.
Yeah, it reduces the cooldown from 45 to 10. In some cases, that's completely irrelevant. In other cases, it's amazing. It's just a lot of the times you see Venges swapping to save their carry, and then they die. And then it's like the Axe actually did nothing. But other cases, they manage to get out themselves, and then all of a sudden you have counterplay potential again.
June is
Dusa
seen
went
by the
MKB,
century.
by the way. No
I saw
Rapier.
that. I'm
Second
disappointed.
MKB as well. They actually get a couple of key items before this fight.
he's
Oh
off
no,
it.
they
He's gonna
don't!
Get it. 3,900 gold worth of items on that poor courier. Starlight gets his Stone Gaze off. He's not going to find anybody into Stone. Chuan,
Swap
a
link.
swap blink. All right, well, with Stone Gaze down, this and Cronus, literally everything is up for IG right now.
Yeah,
On this one.
man, that's such a big blow to Yao. He hasn't been having a great tournament so far overall. And then if this game ends with 1/3 of his net worth on the courier,
Yeah.
that's just, man, that's just tough luck right there. That's a pretty difficult situation to be in. They now need to delay 3 minutes to get his MKB. I don't know if IG saw what was on the courier, but if they realize, they know there's a big amount of Yao's gold down the drain,
I'm fairly
and
sure
he needs to fish it up, and it takes time.
I can't say for sure, but I'm fairly sure they saw the Faceless Void use his Shadow Blade because there was a sentry literally right on top of him.
Did they have
which
vision
is-
in the area, though?
Well, that's true. That's the question, if they had vision of that area. Because he was right on the cusp of the Fog of War.
Yeah. There's Roche.
There's no way to tell right now. Roche is up and will
Okay.
die in, well,
Let's see when
June
Drow
doesn't
and
do that
Shadow
much
Fiend
damage.
come in.
There we go.
Okay, this is a minute 45 Roshan. This was a minute 45 Roshan.
oh man. Okay.
All right, that was your 5-second kill that I
is he-
talked about earlier.
What does he get rid of? He
On the
finished
Shadow Fiend?
Satanic?
He sells the mech.
Okay, well, he combined the Reaver. He combined the Reaver
That's
and the
the axe
HOD.
on Void that you wanted.
Yay!
Good
It's good
prediction.
to see.
Aquila on the courier being sold as well.
Cheese on Void. Don't think
30k
Drow
gold
has any
lead.
room to hold that bad boy. Well, Stone Gaze is up, but that was traded for the Roche in a lot of ways.
There is absolutely no way they win this fight unless, well, I don't know.
You said this three
I don't know
times, and
what's-
we're still
okay.
in the game, for God's sake,
yeah,
okay?
okay.
I
There's no way,
forgive you,
there's
though.
no way they win this fight. They need good.
Hey, I said it would end around 45 minutes, so we'll see if that's the case.
Yeah. That's right,
Tyler's
smart
gonna get
ass.
swapped. They're
Uh-oh.
going to silence him right off the bat. Mystic Flare as well. Is it going to go down? Boy brings him again. A melee relocate. And no buyback from Medusa. This should be GG. BKB's popped. Bottom Rex is down in full. They can just go for Megas right off the bat. Drow Rangers hit so hard. A beautiful vacuum wall. Is it going to be enough, though, is the question. Yao, unfortunately, doesn't have any of his items from the courier and will drop to the deck. Only 2 survivors for LGD, one of which is a buyback and then dieback. And IG is going to kick LGD the hell out of this tournament.
Man, they just got absolutely crushed. The absolute last chance for LGD in that fight is to get a great Stone Gaze into a Witch Doctor ward, because I don't think Ember and Deuced combined don't have enough damage, especially with Ember without the MKB that was lost on the courier. And that Stone Gaze, she didn't even get it
Okay,
off, right?
can you
Swapped into
explain
silence,
something to me?
insta-killed.
MNY is an amazing player. What happened
I have no
with
idea.
his relocates? Was there like some hotkey issue? You'd think there'd be a pause or something to that effect. I feel like something was up that
So the reasoning I found on a couple of the others is if he relocates a shorter distance than all the way back to base, then when he comes back, he has someone to tether to. So, I mean, that's something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in those situations like this last one, there is no way that that relocate works out. The one in the mid lane where he relocates short distance too, he comes back and tethers someone else, but maybe he wanted the Medusa as a target, which is okay. I mean, if you relocate, let's say, 3,000 range away, you have time to come back with the Medusa move and get the tether, but I don't know. That was just a really odd game all in all. Not the MMY IO we're used to seeing, and just LGD in general just drafted themselves into a hole. Hey, Bruno.
Hi. How do you look on the green screen there?
Hey, Bruno, how do you look?
Are you floating? Oh my god. That's insane.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness. Well, with this weird Bruno guy behind us, I can't even think of a good label for that.
Weird Bruno
Let's go to the
guy.
studio and see what everybody thought about this game.
Well, folks, welcome back to the panel. LGD, their goose about as cooked as Bruno's is, apparently. They're falling apart, man. So too is Winter.
He's got the giggles.
Do you need a moment? Do we want to bump her in again and give
I'm fine.
Okay. Well, that was ugly. LGD, I think 4 or 5 bad defensive relocates by MMY. Not that they cost them the game necessarily, but it just felt to me like kind of a, I don't know, a microcosm of the overall way the game developed. Just nothing going their way. The Ember Spirit had a decent start, but that Hill Ward bottom lane, I think it spotted like 3 or 4 early rotations. You know, as syndereN and SUNSfan kept on harping on, they just didn't get any ganks going, and eventually, Drow Shadow Fiend get their items 4:30 at the super fast mech thanks to the Drow art. It was just a clinical early to mid game. Now breaking the base, they took their sweet time about it, but hey, $70,000 match. You can't really blame them.
Nothing went their way, but I feel like LG didn't try to make anything go their way. They just sat back, said, IG, you take Tao, you take Roshan. And IG had a clear draft and plan designed to beat LGD because they knew exactly what LG was going to do.
They got too used to the position they were in.
Yeah.
And they didn't try
It's
to
how
change
LGD
it.
won a lot of their matches earlier in the tournament. Was when teams just tried to high ground them, and they turtled. They're down like 10, 15K, and they turned it. But I think IG just looked at those wins and said, that's the only way these guys are winning, is when teams make mistakes, so we're just not going to make mistakes.
Well, they waited a good 20 minutes before they
It's
pushed.
$70,000.
Yes. Well, the thing is, that 20 minutes gave, if the courier reached base, could have been a different game.
Do you
if
really think
MMY
so?
did not miss like 4 relocates,
The
could have been a different
last
game.
one I felt was like particularly egregious, because there's no, you know where your team is. He needs to go to well. He has no health, no mana. Ugh. I don't know what was going on
He
there.
thought he would actually not take as much damage that he expected, and he wanted to keep the Medusa in the front line. Otherwise, you relocate the Medusa back to the fountain, the enemy just breaks your tower. I mean, they don't lose anything. They didn't even commit Chronosphere. They just came up and right-clicked him. I think it was a swap, right, that actually brought him into a position
Yeah.
where they could like...
I mean, there was an idea behind the draft. Like, we saw just a tiny seed of it at the very end when they got that vacuum Slate of Fist. I think there was a crit or 2 in there, but they were just way too far behind. I think that works if you're 10K goal behind, but they were like 25
There was
or
just
30.
nothing to go with the
Yeah.
vacuum, I feel. Like, Sleight of Fist alone is just...
If you have like an RP, Sleight of Fist, vacuum, then it's really scary. But there's
I-
just nothing to hold them in
Does
place.
Sleight of Fist really combo with vacuum, though?
I
I don't
don't-
get how Sleight of Fist really...
I don't think that was the main reason.
Because it puts them into a position where you can cleave on everyone.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
is why it did
On
so
every
much
single
damage
hit.
there. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the hero
But it's very gimmicky.
it's the
very gimmicky.
ion shell on the Ember that does the most
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
the Dark
yeah.
Seer. It's not the vacuum. Like vacuum and Slide.
But if you want that kind of early game impact, there's other heroes you can pick besides Darkseer who also offer more later on in terms of team
that
fight.
was the thing where I felt IG's bans were on point because they banned out every In July hero imaginable. First the Batrider of the Tide, then it was the Brewmaster as well as the Clockwork, and the last ban on the Bristleback. The one hero I talked about with Winter I felt would have been perfect. It's not In July hero. It would have been the Broodmother. There was no good wave clear. It just looked like a good Brood game to me, but it's not something LGD run.
It would screw the lanes over
Yeah.
for IG basically, and they I don't know how they would actually deal with it because they had Venge and Skyrath supports which are very vulnerable to the Brood
Yes.
early on.
They have some capabilities to maybe get a kill or 2 on the Brood with the Wave of Terror to scout him when he's hiding on the trees, but even if you kill the Brood once or twice, the Brood still just does Brood things and builds a spiraling army, kills the supports.
And the Brood buys time for Lady Dusa, and Lord knows that she needed to time that game.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, they fall short, and with that said, it looks like we're going to hop into our Game 3 relatively quickly. The lobby's already hosted. The teams have not joined yet. But before we do, we'll take a look at the bracket here. We'll reset as to where we are, then we'll take a break, and we're going to come back for our final 2 games of the day. So, we've got a bracket. Let's look at it.
And good thing there's no more IG LGD Chinese Dota game, because that was not the Dota game we enjoy.
I mean, this IG and LGD are shadows of their former selves. Let's be real here. They are awaiting the post-Chinese New Year reshuffle, especially LGD.
I think IG have been really good this tournament, considering...
Compared to how they were, but...
Yeah.
I mean, you compare them like Vici Gaming. They're just not... They're not nearly as
They
consistent.
had a good group stage. They got 8th place based on like head-to-head results with, I think, the 6th and 7th place team, and then met Secret, who is stomping everyone apart from Vici Gaming, so... I feel like IG's a team that could easily make a run. Right now, they're going to go up against Rave. I think that should be probably a pretty straightforward win for them. IG versus Big God, I feel that's actually a pretty close series. I don't feel like Big
I think
God...
so as well.
To me, that's like 2 teams who are evenly matched up.
Yeah, I would agree. Big God, a team that had a really solid run early on, but to be honest, I think a lot of it just came down to who they played and the fact that they just were on a good streak.
Yeah.
had a lot of momentum-based games. Xiao 8 got a bit out of hand at times. And
So would it surprise you if it's IG Cloud9 on loser bracket final?
yes.
Won't surprise me.
Lumi,
It would surprise
they've
me.
got a few games to go
It
before
would surprise me because that's actually not possible. Because either
No,
Vici
it's-
Gaming or
no,
EG
it's
has to
definitely-
be in the loser bracket final. You're talking about the loser. You said loser
Sorry,
bracket final.
sorry. You know what I mean. They
The
made
round
it.
before that.
Yeah, yeah.
okay. The
Yeah.
loser bracket.
Small
consolate
final
game.
or
Semi-final,
whatever you call
whatever.
it.
Okay.
So coming up next,
That would surprise me.
we have Cloud9 versus eHome and Navi versus HGT. The Navi match is going to be first. Now, coming into the playoffs, HGT looked a little bit shaky, to put it mildly. Navi looked very strong, but they're coming off of a rough main stage debut, and honestly, it's BO1. Anything can happen.
In ZSMJ, we trust. That's always been the motto for LGD and any team he's been on. So
Yeah, but I think that game, if you just look at how Navi played, it would probably be a very easy win for them. It could be an easy win for them. Like,
against HGT,
you never know what
yeah.
HGT.
I have no idea what they've got planned. Yeah.
Just looking at when the two teams are on their A game, like Navi's A game this tournament is way above what HGT's A game has been. But
Have
who
we
knows if
seen
they'll bring it.
HGT's A game for
Not even this tournament,
Exactly.
I
They had a
feel.
few ups. They had one or two
They
big
had
upsets.
they had a few good games,
Yep.
but it were they played. They basically had more bad games than their super A games.
Weren't they one of the teams who took a game off Vici Gaming even? Was it Vici Gaming? I don't know. One or two of the top teams, but we'll see. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm hyping up HET, hoping for the best.
Well, if you're wrong, then you could just say you were rolling the dice.
Yeah.
So you've always got a plan B,
A
Mr.
backup
Parker. Yeah.
Parker
He's
is
very good about his gambles.
smart bets,
Yeah.
Parker.
He's covering his tracks. All right, guys, with that said, we are going to take a quick break here, but when we return, we'll have that match coming up for you. 2 more BO1s remain. After that, it's all BO3s the rest of the way. These are all $70,000 matches. And with that said, we'll take a break now, and we'll return with that game. You're watching the Dota 2 Asia Championships. We'll be back.